Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to AVX Live. I'm Joe Gilderson, President of Corporate Audiovisual Services, and a very happy Valentine's Day to all. Last week, we had a really great discussion with my friend Omar Colom of AV Educate and Evolve Academy, and we were discussing training in the audiovisual industry. And Omar is just so passionate. I'm sure that came through in the video. And he's really a powerful force in the industry these days. He's doing great things. So great work, Omar. This week, we're going to have another old friend of the show on, but we're going to be discussing social media and marketing, especially for events. But before we do that, let's just remind everybody how they can find us. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Today, we're 1:10 p.m., but we'll discuss that in a minute. While you're there, hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you can check us out everywhere. If you're watching the show live, drop us a comment. Be a part of the show. I mean, that's what it's all about, being a part of something, right? If you didn't get a chance to watch the video, go back, watch the other 104 episodes on our YouTube channel. And if you really want to stay on top of everything, check out our little shark bites. Thank you, Andrew Castellano, which we're going to put on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Now, enough of that. You know how to find us anyways. But listen, let me tell you a little bit about today's guest. Just remember, I have multiple things to do. Today's guest is going to be Mike Giordano, marketing executive at Buzz Potential. His company focuses on making a positive difference for his clients that includes increasing profitable sales and enhancing community give-back efforts. Prior to forming Buzz Potential, Mike was a senior vice president at Coke Communications, where he oversaw day-to-day operations, account management, strategic, and new business development. Mike is an active member of the Business Council of Westchester, Armonk Chamber of Commerce, Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber of Commerce, and several other local groups. He's a big believer in supporting local charities and has recently helped raise funds for Westcop, Latino U, Support Connection, and Home for Veterans. Man, this guy does a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Giordano. Mr. Mike.
Joe, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Well, hey, thank you. I mean, when I said we need to do a show for lovers, you were who I thought we should bring on.
Yes, that usually is the first thing people think of. Absolutely. Buzz Potential is love, baby. Absolutely.
I mean, just love. I mean, Mike, hey, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, Joe, to you and your lovely wife.
You mean my wife, Carmita?
Yes. Carmita. Oh, wait a minute.
Feliz Dia de Valentin.
Who took that picture?
Aaron.
Aaron did that, right? Yeah.
One of our gigs. Yeah, one of our gigs.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that goes way back. Yeah. It's a great pick. I always like that. It's a good photographer.
I got this other photo, too. Maybe you know her.
Oh, my God. Who is that woman?
I'm pretty sure she's yours, dude.
Happy Valentine's Day, Susan. That's great. That was at the Support Connection Walk.
Absolutely. I mean, you always got something going on, man. You're everywhere. And Susan's everywhere. I see you're in 1,000 different places. So
absolutely. Yeah.
This is good. So today we're going to discuss marketing for events and probably social media being the real key. But you probably have already been to one or two events today. So
yes. This is at yes. I've already been to two events. Right now, I'm at an event at the lovely Briarcliff Manor in Briarcliff Manor, New York, which is good. It's the Briarcliff Manor, and they do weddings at events and corporate events. It's a beautiful location. You can see the Hudson River, and they've been kind enough to let me use one of their offices to hang out with you today. So I appreciate it. Perry and Lewis, gotta love them.
Well, then, thank Perry and Lewis, because this is, it's always good. I love the on location stuff. And, we've been doing more of that lately. And I just think it's a great way to acknowledge, partners and people clients and everybody that we work with.
Absolutely.
Well, good deal. So since you've already been to, you're at your second or third event at this point, I mean, you're nuts, but listen, so we talk about, usually the technology and the events on our show a lot. But how do you get people to know about these events? How do you get people to buy the tickets? How do you get them to be engaged and involved? And And I really think that's kind of your area of expertise. So maybe we'll start about the, how to get people involved before the event ever starts.
Yeah, one things that's important when people have a committee, especially on a nonprofit level, when they have a committee that's involved, the committee itself should also be committed. The committed committee
Oh,
should
wow.
be, you like that? I know you can put that down. You
Yeah.
can quote me on that.
I'm putting that down right now.
Right, a committed committee, but a committed committee to also helping promote it as well as come up with ideas on how to make it wonderful and all that stuff. So the logistic part, so let's in theory say all that stuff is done. It's going to be a wonderful event. All of things like that are all set up, but then it's that pre, then during, and post that's critical. So on the pre side, obviously you create some kind of a flyer or some kind of an invitation. Sometimes it's mailed, sometimes it's just digital, or a combination of the two. But then what happens after that, unfortunately, and this is for nonprofits and even for business events, is that's the only thing they have. So they keep showing that flyer over and over and over again, especially on social media, and it becomes background noise. You just don't see it anymore. So what I was discussing this with Hillary Millman from In Better Words. She's the president of the ADO, very good marketer, our friend for years. One of the things Hillary suggested, which makes perfect sense, is to come up with little bit varied versions of that flyer so that it's not just the same thing, and also really promote sponsors. So individual, it depends on the event. Like if the business count, you get 30 sponsors, it's somewhat, it's a little bit of a challenge. But when you have, say, 5, 10, or whatever sponsors, do individual posts thanking those sponsors. Also, do individual posts and highlight the award honorees if it's an awards dinner, or panelists. Highlight the panelists and individual posts on each panelist. So now, if you're doing this, say, 2 months out, now you've got 10 to 15 different kinds of posts that you can put out that will allow people to see it and, I saw, oh yeah, that's interesting. Because if it's just the flyer 10 times, it becomes noise. Social media is weird.
Yeah.
It's not like regular advertising where you pound it on TV. Social media, if you show the same thing over and over again, people just drone it out. You can have the same copy, but you need different imagery, and that'll draw people in. So that's really important on the pre-end, to come up with different creative images and flyers and things of that nature to showcase what the event's about. And then same thing with the sponsors. You never can promote the sponsors enough. I think people sometimes fall down on that. They're like, okay, you're going to spend $5,000 and we're going to put your logo on a napkin and you get to wave at the event. That's not enough. And by promoting them heavily, pre, during, obviously everyone does that well during the event.
Right.
That's fine. That's not really a problem. But then post event, you still thank those sponsors, thank them individually. And then it makes it easier on the back end next year to sell them again when they see how much coverage they got on social media, because that's a big element. So that's kind of very important to think about that pre thing, to do it that way.
I think that's pretty smart. I like the idea of, because look, when you're making some sort of flyer or invitation ahead of time, it's much easier to make those varieties then, right?
Exactly.
Because you're already in that mode and you just make minor adjustments. And if you already have your key sponsors at that point, or your panelists, maybe you don't have everybody when you first are, kind of putting it together, but you have at least key people.
Yep.
That's a perfect time to get that done. At least get the wheels going. And because you're right, there's a lot of noise. And, Mike, I don't know how this is going to come out because I just came up with this literally while you were talking, but I have a perfect example of something that has recently, they came out with one big promotional piece. Obviously, the Super Bowl just happened.
Sure.
But since then, I've seen a whole bunch of separate clips that I didn't know existed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Dunk Kings. I mean,
phenomenal job.
The Boston boys took it right to the streets,
Phenomenal. It's the best ad in years. They did a great job. They've got the post, they got the pre. It's wonderful. It's hysterical. It brings in the Bronx. It brings in Boston. I'm going to try to buy one of those suits. I know they sold out in 19 minutes, but I'm hoping to be able to get one for me and my friend Buzz, and then we're going to walk in Boston with that suit on, and maybe in Manhattan. It's great stuff. Perfect.
I think
example.
this is a great plan.
Yeah.
Maybe we could, when you're doing that, we could bring the show live. I
Oh
think
yeah, right.
that's the way we
From
got to
Times
do
Square.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are. Yo, the Dung Kings. You know, we
I
could,
think this is the way to do it. Yeah.
yeah. No, but that's a great example, Joe. It really is, and especially when you figure that these people in the Super Bowl are spending $7 million for an ad, and then for most of them to just not even be recognized, or they're just sort of was crap. This thing was great, and you want to have that same buzz in your own reality, in your own world for your own event, and you can do that if you do. I mean, obviously, you know, you're not going to have Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Tom Brady, but in your own world, you can have that sort. Especially if you've got some interesting panelists or honorees. You know, another
Absolutely.
thing, just while you show this, I was thinking, you know, also I think the venues have to step up. When a venue is brought into the picture, whether it's the Briarcliff Manor or, you know, Sam's of Gedney Way, or there's a lot of great, you know, venues that we work with. They also we should encourage them, and I don't think we do that all the time, and we should encourage them to promote it on their own as well. I think venues need to step it up and showcase the fact that this event is here, not just take a couple of pictures and then, oh, by the way, the ADO was here, but you know, to say, hey, we're having this event, we appreciate it, thank you. Then during and then after. I know that the Sonesta Hotel has started to do that because with Stacy Cohen, who handles their PR, and also there was another venue. I was talking to Christina Ray. It was the what was it? Was it the Surf Club? I forget. It's one of the venues that Christina Ray has at Buzz Creators, and she does that. And so the PR firms, the marketers, should encourage the venues that they're working with to do that. If it doesn't come from the venue, then the marketers should do that and let them know that that's important, because that now that adds a whole nother audience and another element to your possibilities of trying to get people to attend and get the awareness of your event.
Well, I think that's interesting because honestly, I think the venues find themselves in the same place that sometimes we find ourselves. And it's like you're the shoemaker who can't fix his own shoes kind of thing, because you're just so deep into trying to help your client at that point. But it's a really good point. Now take out the NDAs and the clients that you can't say were there,
Correct.
which, you know, that's real. There's certainly, we have a lot of that, where they're like, oh, can we use this picture? I'm like, no, you can't use that picture. There's like a 50-page contract that says we can't do that, you know?
Yeah.
But it's certainly an untapped kind of part of it, where the venue is now a part of the promotion cycle. And you see that a lot with bands and the restaurant/bars they go to from a lower level. So why couldn't the venues do that? It's a good point.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And the one I was thinking about with Buzz Creators was the Royal Regency in Yonkers. They just had that networking event with the Business Council. So we took pictures. I took pictures anyways, which I was doing for the BCW, and I gave Christina some pictures of the crowd, so the venue can show the size of the crowd and how great it looked, and how, you know, it was a big crowd that they handled. So yeah, you're right. If the legal issues are cool, and right, and I know that you have that issue too, but if a legal thing is okay, then that makes perfect sense. You know, on your end, like other vendors, like flower vendors and you know, the caterer, if it's bringing food in, or the photographer. Photographers are not good at all at promoting themselves, really, and they're certainly not. You know,
I agree.
They're terrible. It's
I
too
agree
bad, because they do great work, but and you know, if you could do it, that would be nice. But I think it's more important for the venue to do it, and then obviously the people run the event, whatever. And if you could do something, then that's great. And you guys do some stuff. You'll do stuff when you're there, whatever. But you got to be cognizant of, you got to get the event going and blah blah blah, and the kind of people power that you have. But if the venue does it, if the committee does it, if obviously the employees do it, and if the nominees or award winners do it, and the sponsors even try to encourage the sponsors by putting together something that's easy for the sponsor to share, or even something as simple like on Instagram. I'm starting to talk to people about this, Rose in particular, for her women's summit,
the Westchester Women's Summit. Yeah,
Westchester Women's Summit that you guys are involved with. I've asked her to tell her social media person to just, on Instagram anyways, to just make me a collaborator. Then all I got to do is hit yes, and then it pops up on my Instagram. I don't have to hit, because Instagram's a pain. You got to get the thing. You got to have an app. So those kind of things, and beforehand, to get some agreement from some people, some vendors, some supporters, even if it's say 5 people that are willing to do that on whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, to then spread the word, that multiplier effect has a lot of positive coverage for you, pre, during, and then post. It's a lot of work. Don't get me wrong, but it's the kind of thing that you'll see results from because more people are going to see it, and that'll hopefully drive more people. And if it's nonprofit, drive more donations and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you mentioned during the event. Well, tell me about that. How could our clients promote while the event is happening?
During the event's an interesting thing. So a couple of weeks ago, the Business Council did that AI thing at Manhattanville College, which was pretty cool. So I was there, and there was a woman who was doing some live stuff, Chloe, who was doing it for Liz Bracken. So that was cool. Okay. That was kind of covered. But I'm taking that back. It wasn't live. She was just filming it. She was going to show it later. So that was kind of covered. So I'm like, well, what can I do? And it's a kind of an interesting, I don't know how the audio is going to be. So what I did was I took different pictures at different angles while Vecchiola, the photographer, was doing his thing. And then I took 5 pictures and I posted happening now. And I tagged the sponsors. And one was a static post. I think the other one, though, I made a quick video, and it did well. Like on LinkedIn, it got like 1,500 people seeing it. So you can do things. Yeah, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan of like, okay, what am I going to do? Should I do? You can just do a walkthrough. In some cases, you can just do a walkthrough, whether it's live. And sometimes live is funky because you're not sure if the connection's gonna work. But you can do a walkthrough video, and there you go. You can say, "Great crowd happening now." 30-second walkthrough, walking around with your phone, taking video, post it. That's a cool thing to do as well. Live video on social is tricky, because sometimes connection doesn't work and then it freezes. So it's kind of risky unless you really know that your connection is going to be cool. So doing your own video, short video clips while you're there, and then posting is a good option. And then also even static pictures are okay too, to say, hey, here we are, here's what's happening now. That's great. And look, in some cases you can do wonderful video, but you really have to check to make sure that the Wi-Fi or whatever is going to work. So during it's kind of cool, but you should kind of also think about what the plan is, like to just do something random, or do you want to do something that's going to maximize the exposure for the sponsors or the honorees? You kind of want to have that and discuss that prior, so you can say, well, we're going to do 3 things. Let's focus this, this, and this. So it's not just a cool picture of the crowd, which is fine, but that might not be the most beneficial for what you're doing.
All right. So you need a plan. Start with your plan first. I think you're right. Look, there's a lot of things with anything live that can, since we live in the live world every day, there's a lot of variables, especially streaming. There could be, if you were on Facebook and you're streaming and there's background music or there's a band playing, it could be shut down just because of copyrighted music. Like there's 1,000 variables. True. Maybe somebody's cursing and there's a hot mic next to you, and there are some things that can go wrong pretty quick. But I think you're right, though. I think there's a lot of ways you can use it, even if it was red carpet type of stuff, or maybe it's in the registration area before the panel starts or before the corporate meeting starts. Maybe it's something to try to show how people are engaged so that you can try to get more people within the company engaged. If it's an internal event, I think there's a lot of ways you can use it, and we don't really see too many people doing that.
No, you're right, Joe. And so if an event is sort of a long event, like when the Business Council did the showcase in November that you guys did the AV for, which was very cool. But so that event's a 3 or 4 hour event. You can do something in the beginning, and you know how it is now. You know this with events. Years ago, people used to respond in advance. Well, now it's like the last minute, and then the day of, there's a lot of walk-ins. So if it's that, it has to obviously be that kind of event. But you could be like, all right, cool. I'm going to do a little we're setting up, and then right as the event starts, bang some stuff out and say, hey, we're here. You don't know who might say, you know what, I'm going to go. Not for the $400 or $500 dinners. That's not what I'm talking about. But things like that make sense. And you're right. That's going to be part of what you do to get those last minute stragglers, especially for business organizations that have networking events like the BCW does, or the Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber, or the county association. There will be events that people will go. It's not ridiculously expensive, and they're like, you know what? Yeah, that just reminded me. I'm shoot over there. for 50, 60 bucks or 75, I'm going to go and pay at the door. So that's another thing that, not so much for fundraisers. That's a little bit different to a degree,
I
but,
agree.
to a degree. But,
Well, look, I mean, the reality is fundraisers, many of them, while it's changed in the last, year and a half to 2 years, they might still have a silent auction online. They might have a donation page that's open. I mean, you are giving up dollars if you're not drawing people there.
That's a good point. I agree. Yeah, if you have that. Another thing also with nonprofits for fundraising is if you're going to keep the online auction or the online ability to donate open for 30 days, promote it, baby. Rock and roll. Let's do it. Every few days, put something different up. But hey, we're still open. We're still open. We're still open. We're still open. Let people know. Pound it, and then thank the sponsors. So really, after the event, you can you can really maximize that additional exposure, and then capture. And this is certainly mostly for nonprofits, obviously, but capture those additional dollars with I couldn't go, but that's right, I can still donate to the end of the month. Great. That has to be part of it as well. Don't just say, okay, we're great, and you put one post, we're open, our online thing is open till 3 weeks from now, and then you never hear about it again. It's just a wasted opportunity. So that's a really important thing to do that.
Well, you mentioned post, of course, in this specific example. So the event ends. Now what?
Well, everything has to be planned, except here's something that comes up. During the event, there may be some cool kind of thing that happens, a cool picture, something that happens that you didn't know that was going to occur. So obviously that's great content. So you want to make sure that that's showcased. So you have to have your plan of, okay, if we're going to keep the online auction or the donation page open for a month, this is for nonprofits, then every week, twice a week is good, not too much because you don't want to pummel people, but twice a week with different content, let's promote the fact that it's still open. However, for pictures and video that come up that are kind of cool, you could use that as well, or you can maybe do a third post with just a kind of cool thing that showcases what happened there. And for business organizations, this is my own thing. This is what I do. Other people may not agree with me, but I don't like to put all the pictures up of the event in one post. I just think it's a waste, because once you do that, that's done. It's over with. I like to stretch it out, and depending on the kind of post, or the kind of event it is, you can really get lots of mileage out of it. Nobody sits there and goes, those pictures are from 3 months ago. People don't care if they're good pictures. They don't care. You can do the whole throwback thing. Well, it's a throwback Thursday, and here's pictures from last July. People don't care if they're good pictures, and it brings more awareness again, traction, and showcases that event. You can thank the sponsors even there. So there's many ways to milk it, but in sort of an organic way, so it doesn't look like, you're just being a promotional fool. It's a way, and that's what I like to do. I'll throw pictures up, months after. I try to do that with a business council. I'll say, these pictures I took them 3 months ago, but no one's seen them. Oh, and by the way, here's something recently. So it really is good to spread it out after the event and keep thanking those sponsors as well, because they don't usually expect that. They don't see their promotion anymore of their sponsorship. So that makes it easier, because all of this is about, besides raising money for nonprofits, but for business events, it's about getting sponsors for the next event. And you make it easier when you are promoting the hell out of them in those 3 phases. And it also makes it easier to get sponsors and donations as well for the nonprofit side. So it really makes sense to invest that extra time after, because a lot of times it doesn't happen.
From a sponsor perspective, we've sponsored many different groups over the years, and you're absolutely right. Once the event's over, it's like you're kind of kicked to the curb, and I've had groups forget that we were sponsors. There's nothing more insulting than they talk to you like they've never met you before, and you're like, hold on, we donated $5,000 worth of services. What do you mean you don't know who we are? And because they're just kind of churning the dollars at that point, and that really misses the big picture.
Absolutely. You as a sponsor, because you do a lot with the community. Okay, you do a lot. I mean, especially you do a lot with nonprofits, and so for you, if you're donating or even if you're doing a discount for them, whatever, that's still a donation. And they remember you and promote you after the fact. It's going to be a lot easier, warm and fuzzy, to come back to you next year and say, "Hey, Joe," and they go,
Absolutely.
you're like, "Yeah, I saw this. You guys were great. Absolutely, we're all over this," and that just
That's
makes
much
sense.
easier.
Much easier for you because obviously you got to justify it in your own mind from an ROI standpoint as a business owner. And this is great. This other group didn't do that. We did it and we did a great job, but they kind of This one went crazy and promoted the hell out of us. So yeah, you're in. The other one, you're gonna have to work for it. You have to work for it.
Yeah. Hey, a weird thing, but it's come up recently that I've heard people mention is I think with the sponsors, you probably also have to be careful if you have like competing sponsors or people involved, because that's going to turn everybody off real quick too. If like they signed up for something and then you bring in, somebody else that does the same thing and they're like, I know it goes on with the banks all the time and, real estate and some other groups, but it's a harder sell if you want to try to get them again. I'll tell you that, because
It's
everybody
true.
sees it. Everybody sees it.
It's true. And that's why when you do the group thing with the logos and there's 3 banks there, like Hudson Valley Credit Union or a Chase or a PS Putnam County Savings Bank or whatever, Orange Bank and Trust, whatever the bank is. And there's multiple banks. And there's also, like with the hospitals too, you'll see, like with the Armark Art Show, there's a couple hospitals that sponsor. And they try to be exclusive, but the hospitals are a little bit different. But the way to work around that is that's why you do those individual promotions of those sponsors, because then they're not sharing that real estate on the flyer with a competitor. They're getting their own personalized exposure, makes them feel warm and fuzzy. So especially, that's an excellent point, Joe. If you have competitive sponsors, then it's real imperative that you do individual promotions of each sponsor, because then they get that, they feel, okay, this is great. I know that my competitor's there. However, they did a nice little separate post on me and that was all warm and fuzzy and it was great. And they did it in the 3 stages and I'm happy, especially when you're talking about some of the dollars that these sponsors contribute, these 5, 10, you look at these sponsor packages, it's like 25 grand. Okay. Besides speaking and getting some tickets and putting my logo on a napkin, I want some more mileage. And that's the way to get around it without having to have a lot more expense on your end as a nonprofit. You just have to spend the time on the social part, but so what? That's low cost. And it just makes them, and then if you give them another thing too, for bigger sponsors, you can't do this for everybody, but for a bigger sponsor, it would make sense to show them the traction that you got on social. So show them what you got on Instagram, show them what you got if you do TikTok, show them Facebook, show them LinkedIn, show them your social back end, Twitter, and say, hey, the post that we did for the sponsors and then our individual posts for you, we got 50,000 people to view that. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. So that's something for the bigger sponsors, like your gold or other precious metal, whatever you're using, to give that as an extra thing to say, by the way, we're also going to show you, to prove to you the tonnage we got online for the post that mentioned you.
I think that's a great plan. And again, you don't really ever see that. You don't see hard facts. You kind of told a story, but you don't actually see the facts to back it up. And look, if it's a corporate organization, they need facts.
Absolutely.
They need data, they need analytics, and it's available to you. So use the tool. I think that makes sense.
It's there, right? It's not hard to get. This isn't like if you run a newspaper ad and you're like, you don't, you don't have like that. You don't have the back end data, but on this other stuff you do, and it just makes perfect sense to showcase it. Whatever it is, YouTube, whatever you're doing, any channels you have, and even if some of the numbers are low, you look at it collectively. Obviously, everyone does different on certain things. On Facebook, they might do better than they do on LinkedIn or Instagram, but that's okay. Collectively, the tonnage will be desirable because you're doing it right. That they'll like that, and they're not going to get that from other people, and that's going to be something that is going to stick out in their mind. Like, these guys are really cool. They gave us this back end data on social, and you obviously you include the one where they are mentioned in the group because that usually gets the most tonnage. But it's just a smart thing to do and makes you have to sell less hard the next year.
I got it. I think these are great tips. I mean, is there anything else you're seeing in the digital marketing side over the last, like 6 months or so that as we're starting up 2024 that people should be aware of?
Well, I think this is a little interesting thing. I think you're seeing that people are getting the latest phones. So whether it's an iPhone or a Pixel or what the one I just got, the 24 from Samsung, and it's making a huge difference. The quality of the phones are critical for when you're doing your live stuff or you're doing your on-site pictures, and crappy pictures and crappy video are a detriment to your brand. So it's important, this upgrading of the phones that I'm seeing, because they have great deals right now. You see like T-Mobile and Verizon, it's a great deal. You really should upgrade your phone, because once you upgrade your phone, then it changes the whole dynamics. It changes the audio, it changes the video clarity. The phone that I got, Joe, has 8K. I can't even use 8K. I can't even edit it on my own phone, but I have it if I need it and give it to someone who can handle 8K. So
I didn't even know you had that many Ks.
I know. Usually I'm minus K, but today I'm 8K, and and it's important though to get the right equipment. That's really the trend I'm seeing. That people are getting better phones. They're learning how to hold the phone better. They're learning about light. That's really really critical. And the other thing is, there's a lot more video. People are doing videos. They're doing the videos with the captions under it. Some of them are good. Some of them are kind of stupid. But that's a big thing that people are doing, at events. And then it's critical, if you're going to do that with talking, to have a mic. And now there's setups where you can get an LED light on your phone, and then you can have a wireless mic with Bluetooth that hooks up. That's critical. So that's a trend you're seeing more of now. And that's good. As long as it's done correctly, that's a good thing. So I think you're seeing the upgrading of the phone is going to make a big difference on, especially during and then after, because the after things you're showing are going to be better quality, which represent the brand. You're using, when you do your thing, you've got the cameras, you got the audio, you got all that great stuff, but the stuff that the employees are using or the sponsors or whatever, if they have the right equipment, then all that posting that they do that's beyond your control still shows the brand equity and the brand image that you want to showcase. So
I think that's an excellent point. I mean, we just snuck in some technology talk into this.
Well, that's because that's what we got to do. It's important. We have to talk about, by the way, I'm going to put my red sunglasses on in honor of Valentine's Day. But yeah, tech is important. But as we said, when you and I used to talk years ago, when we first started talking about marketing stuff, it's the people. So if you don't know how to use your stuff, then you can go on YouTube, or you can work with someone to help you to showcase how you use your technology properly, so you can get the right images and videos that you need.
This is an excellent point. Nice job, Mike. Nice job. Once again, you are loaded with knowledge deliver it in a creative manner. Hey, did you notice that I actually found a picture of you without sunglasses?
You know what? That was when we did the thing at CNA Digital. I can't say copy and art. That's how I used to say it. Yeah, that was a great interview with Stacey Cohen, with Christina Ray, with Elena Cheek. It was awesome. It was really good. I have to I've seen a little bit of it. I got to get it and promote it. But yeah, you got that picture before me. You guys have ways of getting things. It's kind of creepy.
I mean, Mike, we're on the cutting edge, man. I don't know.
What you're on the edge, that's for sure.
I'm on the edge. I don't know. I mean, this is just the way we roll. But but listen, I think we're gonna wrap this thing up. I know you probably got 14 other events you got to go to. And, I mean, while I know that new phone's battery could probably last for 3 weeks.
Oh, I could travel around the world and this thing's not going to die. Yes, it's got a lot of, it's good. Yeah, it's huge. It's awesome.
That's the first thing you've noticed with any piece of new technology, computer, iPad, phone. The battery lasts 10 times longer.
They do. You're right. The batteries are critical, and the battery doesn't blow up, unlike the electric bike. So I'm happy, because if this exploded, that would suck. So I'm glad that this is a non-explosive battery.
I think we're all happy about that. Yeah. Well, listen, Mike, make sure you tell Susan we said happy Valentine's Day.
I will.
And, be good to her. Maybe, I don't know about flowers, maybe red sunglasses. I don't know, whatever works in your household.
Yes. I'm going to, I have to, I'm going to get something. I'm a little behind on that, but yes, I've got to, thank you for reminding me and having this on video so I can show her, and then she can,
yeah,
I appreciate that.
I mean, what are friends for?
Yeah, that's what, Boston boys got to stick together.
I know. That was a good cue. That was a good cue, Mike. Look at those guys. You know, like Matt Damon said, sometimes it's tough to be a friend, but I mean,
You said you support me.
this is support. All right. Well, listen, Mike, thank you very much for your time
Thank you,
today.
Joe.
These are great tips, great ideas. And I am sure we're going to be seeing you at an event real soon.
Groovy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Enjoy the day. All right, everybody. You just got some great tips from Mike Dardano of Buzz Potential, talking about pre-event, during the event, and post-event, how to market and try to ultimately generate more funds or generate more awareness or have a better presence in your market, depending on what your goals are for each event. So thank you again, Mike. And amazing that you've already been to so many places and still got to use new technology from the Briarcliff Manor. Thank you, Perry and Lou, for allowing Mike to be able to broadcast from your space, which is a great place. Everybody should check it out. All right, everybody, listen, we're gonna wrap this thing up. Let me see if I can find my little buttons here. Everybody, you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube every Wednesday at 1 p.m. While you're there, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Don't be afraid. You got to drop us a comment, okay? If you didn't get a chance, go back to our YouTube channel. You can see all of our past videos. And I am sure that Alexis is going to find some great clips of one Mike Dardano from Buzz Potential for Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So listen, thank you again, everyone. We're going to wish you a great week and happy Valentine's Day to all. I'm Joe. I'm signing off. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.